Hey, welcome to Fiverr Talks, and today we're talking about the most requested topic on all of your minds over the last couple months, Fiverr's paid promotion. Should I use it? If I can't use it now, when should I expect to be able to use it? And all of those answers coming your way in this video. Okay, so as we're getting started, we really need to answer two questions first. Who qualifies for paid promotion and how does it work? Very important things. And I'll link down below a page that has very robust answers on these very questions, but I'll go through some of the high points in the video. The first of who qualifies. The way that Fiverr says it is that to ensure a quality ad experience for buyers, only hand-vetted sellers who meet all our quality metrics can participate in the program. The short answer is Fiverr is hand-picking the sellers who are able to participate in the paid promotion program. So if you're a top-rated seller and you're wondering why aren't any of my gigs available for paid promotion, why don't I see that tab? It's because Fiverr hasn't chosen those gigs yet. But when they do choose gigs, here's the eligibility requirements for them to choose your gigs or be able to handpick your gigs. You have to be at least a level 2 or higher, so a level 2 or top-rated seller only. Have at least one of your gigs in an eligible category, which they have an entire list of the categories that you can purchase a paid promotion for your gig in. The gigs have to have at least a 4.7 star public rating. Your gig has to have at least 30 reviews and meet additional quality metrics. So all of this to say that Fiverr is trying to hold those who are able to offer paid promotion to the highest of standards so that when a buyer pays for an ad, when a seller pays for an ad and a buyer clicks on it, it's a good experience for both because Fiverr is going to make more money if we pay for more ads. Now this kind of figures into a philosophical question of do you want to be paying Fiverr more money for clicks or what you make on the platform, and we'll talk about that towards the end, so make sure you don't stop watching now. But essentially, they want to make sure the highest quality gigs are there while they're testing this paid promotion, and even though they've not said this is a test, it looks like a test to us. So if it looks like a test and walks like a test, it's probably a test. But that's the metrics with which they use to identify what gigs are eligible, what sellers' gigs can be promoted and paid for. The second question we have to answer is, how does it work? Well, it's actually pretty simple, and Fiverr has a really nice, robust dashboard that explains it all and kind of guides you through it. The first thing you'll do is set a daily limit. That's kind of the maximum that you're willing to spend per day if you were to get all these clicks all the way up to the maximum. So you set a daily limit that you're willing to spend on clicks. You're not paying for purchases, you're paying for clicks. So when someone sees your ad and they click on it and go to your gig page, you pay. It's PPC, pay per click. That's how it works. And then essentially you place a bid on what that click is worth to you. How much would you pay for a click? And you can offer a range, a maximum. And Fiverr will give you an idea of what it would take to win that bid for that click. And if someone is viewing results that fit your criteria and there are more than one sellers vying for that ad spot, then Fiverr will take the person who has bid the most for that ad spot and give it to them. So you have to weigh, how much is this click worth to me and what do I need to bid in order to win that position, or my ad won't even be shown and I won't be getting enough clicks. So all that being said, you have to place a bid for the click or a bid for the ad spot so that Fiverr knows who to give it to. Then when the opportunity arises and someone clicks on your ad, you actually have to pay, and it calculates how many clicks you get off impressions, which is when your ad simply appears on a page or a phone screen. And so from there, they'll also give you metrics on how many of those clicks led to sales and what the dollar amounts for those sales were. So you get a lot of really cool metrics on how this works and a lot of really good guidance on what you can do to play with things. Now, before I share my results, I think it's time for our question of the day. That's right, our question of the day today is related to paid promotion. And it's not about whether or not you have actually used paid promotion, because I know many of you haven't even had the opportunity. It's been very limited, very beta, as they say. So my question to you is, if you had the opportunity, would you pay for Fiverr to promote your gigs, or do you think they take enough of your money already? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll get back to the content right now with my results. Okay, like I promised, I'm going to share with you the actual results I've gotten from the paid promotion campaigns that I've run over the last 90 days. I wanted to take a little bit of time so that I could get a larger sample size and share that with you. And I want to preface all of these results by saying that my category, the category of animation and video, I'm guessing is probably one of the higher paid categories on Fiverr. And that'll play into my summation of whether or not this really makes sense for you in the future. So let me run through my results, and then we will talk about my conclusions that have come after evaluating these results and running some campaigns on my own. So the first thing that I'll tell you is that over the course of 90 days, I spent a little over $300 on clicks. And in most cases, when I was given an average bid for a click, I doubled it so that I would be sure to win a lot of clicks. So, you know, if it was a 50 cents average to win the click, I was bidding $1 so that I was always the highest bidder. And as you can see, I never paid what I actually bid for the click. It just was, you know, a little higher than it needed to be to beat the others, I guess. I'm just guessing that that's how it works. But I never paid all the way up to my bid for a click. So you'll see I spent just over $300 and I made a little over $4,000, almost $4,500 in these 3 months using these paid promotions. Now, when you look at those statistics, you might be thinking, that's a good trade. I'd do that all day. $300 for 4,000. Great. I mean, that's a really good conversion. That's like 10xing your money or more. But here's my summation of all of this. There are times when it might make sense to place ads on your gigs, but for me, I don't really think it does. Especially in a category like whiteboard videos where I'm already Fiverr's choice, meaning that I'm showing up at the top of the page anyway. I've got thousands of reviews. That's one of my strongest gigs. I'm ranking all the way at the top. And so as Fiverr outlines on their paid promotion site, organic results are not influenced by ad results. So there might be times where that ad appears right next to the organic results. And if someone clicks on the ad, even though you were already at the top, you're paying for their click. And so I've asked myself, how many of those clicks would I have gotten? How many of those sales would I have gotten already? And that's something that I'll never know the answer to. That's just something I have to consider and think through and ask myself, was it really worth it? On the other side of things, you have to ask yourself, am I going to be able to make enough off of these clicks to justify the price? I feel like I'm not a great case study because animations have a pretty high value on Fiverr. So I'll just use both of my different services kind of on the side of each other. I was just allowed to run ads on my voiceover gig, but my average voiceover purchase is anywhere between $50 and $75. So if I spent $300 over 3 months on voiceover ads, then I definitely wouldn't be making $4,000. The reason I made over $4,000 on my animation gigs is because my typical project it's around $750 when I calculate it all up, sometimes a little higher. So that could have just been, you'll see I only had 5 projects in those 90 days. 5 different orders equaled over $4,000. And so if those 5 orders only equaled, let's call it $50 a piece, $250, I would have lost money on the ads. So you see where I'm going with this. It might be worth it if you have an ultra high value gig, but if you don't, it seems that the conversion rates are so low. For me, they're somewhere down between 1% and 3% on a generous day. I'd say it's more like 1% and 2% of everybody that clicks on your gig to the amount of purchases you get. I mean, I'm getting like a couple hundred clicks and a sale or 2 on every couple hundred. So unless you're unless you have a high value gig, paid promotion is probably not going to be worth it because the conversion rates are so low. Now, also there are certainly other factors into that. Maybe my gig pages need work, maybe my gig videos need work, but I often kind of overpass that or go right by that because I feel like with my experience and all the things that I've been able to learn over the years, I feel like my pages and my videos are pretty optimized. So if I'm not getting the clicks in what I would call a pretty good case scenario, case study, I'm not sure it makes sense for my lower paying gigs or really anybody else. And so I want you to take all of this with a grain of salt because though I did see some results, I'm very skeptical of those results and I'm probably going to scale back my paid promotion. I'm not going to keep bumping it up and increasing it because I just don't see the huge value in it. And I think there are times when paid promotion and organic results for me are lining up right next to each other. However, if you find that you're not high in the results and you need to generate something, give it a try. Play with it, play with your numbers. Don't spend a ton of cash on it. Don't put your limits way up there because you may end up paying a lot for ads that don't yield you anything. But that's my results. Those are my results. And I think it's an interesting case study of what we could do with Fiverr's paid promotion. But ultimately, this is kind of the drawing things to a close. It comes down to whether or not you think Fiverr deserves to get more of your money, because I refused to be a part of this program when it first came around years ago because I thought it's insane that Fiverr wants more of my money. Not only am I giving them 20% on everything that I sell, but now, I've just lost an extra $100, $200 a month or whatever it was. It's something that they're just finding another way to tax the sellers or make sellers more willing to give them a bigger chunk of their work. So it's a philosophical, sometimes an ethereal question too. Do I really want to buy into this program that's going to cost me more, or do I want to make it organic all the way and make sure that I get through on my own merit and give up as little commission as I have to? Hey, thanks for joining me for this long video, and if you watched all the way to the end, then that means you really are ready for the next step. So consider joining me over on Patreon. Our community is growing. We are interacting more every single week. I do an exclusive video for them every Friday, so we're Monday and Wednesday on YouTube, Friday over on Patreon, and we do lots of deep dives. I answer their questions. We just did a really great Q&A video. So if you're interested in that, it's patreon.com/DJYoung, starting at only $5 a month. You too can have me as a digital mentor, and I think you'll really find great value and benefit from that. So as always, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you're not already, and remember, keep doing, because the future favors the doers.